Hey everybody, welcome back. Here is a series of videos which we're going to be launching today. We've had this podcast set up for probably 3 years now. We don't do much podcast type interviews for the use of YouTube or whatever the case might be. And we actually use this for training. We've got quite a serious setup here with 6 mics and full video and soundboard and the whole story, sound mixing and everything. But what we're going to be doing is, instead of training and doing consulting work and failure analysis for our international clients, what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be using this podcast setup to do interviews. Now, for those of you that know me, I'm talking about the South Africans. We've got a massive following, especially overseas, cross-border. And thanks for tuning in, guys, because I think you guys are going to enjoy this nonetheless. These are interviews and stories with customers, friends, racers, tuners, engine builders, fabricators, and the works in South Africa that have got an illustrious, long history with TurboDirect and obviously the industry, which I think are going to expose some controversy, some great stories, some achievements, and we're going to start delving into information about the guys that we're going to be doing interviews with. So we're going to start off the first podcast interview podcast that we're going to be doing on the TurboDirect channel with a long-standing friend of mine, and then not such good friend, and then good friend again, by the name of Nasen Padayachee. And I refer to him as Nasen the Nice Guy Ninja Padayachee.
I think I'm old enough. I don't know. I don't want to say how old we are. But we basically started off as a hobby. You know, we obviously from Natal, and the only racing we had was street racing. So we started racing on the streets, and you needed to make cars go faster, and that's how we learned. And then from there, it became a business, and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed until we got, obviously we raced Opels initially. First, we started off with Toyotas, and then we pushed the Opel platform until we could run 8s. And it was something that we did purely because my mates in the States or at the GM, at that time, GM spent a lot of money to push those Ecotechs, and they were all making good horsepower and running good times. And we wanted to see how fast we could go here in South Africa. So,
but now tell me, what Opels are you guys running, other than the Super Bosses with the other things?
We only ran Super Bosses. Those are the only engines that were available to us. And everything had to be developed here locally. There was no way you could buy a piston for a Super Boss turbo piston. There was no way you could buy a conrod. So we were making stuff. I had CNC'd set of rods. I remember we made 8 of them, but they were shit heavy. We lightened them. We used to use BMW M5 rods. M5 rods had a very nice.
I remember that.
Yeah, very nice bolt. Standard bolt.
Yeah,
was pretty decent.
Those old M5s used to use those rods inside the Uno turbos at a stage as well.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yes, and they were pretty. They were wide.
Yeah.
They were thick. They could take decent horsepower, and then we just started from there. And then eventually we were able to, have proper rods made, proper pistons made. We're talking about 2006, 2007. We were running alley rods, which I think nobody was using here in South Africa.
No, I don't recall many people using aluminium rods in builds.
No,
in those days, the level of education in this country, at least, when you start mentioning aluminium rods, guys, are you crazy?
Yeah.
How can you run an aluminium rod? Surely it'll never work,
Well,
which it obviously does for our horsepower.
Yeah, but you got it. The Pro Mod guys were using them. Obviously, you're limited to the amount of runs you can think. They stretch. There's it just has a half-life. So many runs at certain amount of power, they stretch, and that's it. You got to put new. But the good thing about that is you have very nice ornaments. Spare rods too.
And a hole in your pocket.
And actually, do you know alley rods were actually cheaper than steel?
Not in the day.
No,
not in the day.
Yeah. Well, the trick was
today they are. Today they're very, very cheap.
Even then, what we do is you buy a V8 set. So you have 2 sets, it was cheap. So nobody knew what that engine was that we were running. And then eventually, the guys in Brazil approached us. They started racing them. The guys in the US, in the UK rather, Poland, all over Europe, they were running those engines. And we, I mean, our poor man's ARP those days were normal, what's it, 10.9 we used to get? 10.9?
No,
12.9.
10.8.
Yeah.
8.8, 9.8, 10.8, 12.9.
12.9. Yeah, and there were cap head screws, so we had...
just the high tensile bolts.
High tensile
That's what you're
bolts,
looking
yeah.
for,
We had
the problem is all those threads are cut. They're not rolled. They're not
they're not
forged.
rolled,
So
no.
I mean,
Yeah,
nor is the bolt material
but
forged.
we had guys in Durban that would roll bolts for us. We made our own head studs for Mazdas as well that time, with a big, thick, I still have one as a sample, a big, thick bra or copper, head, long bolt. And I mean, that was the good old South Africa.
I remember TS, Superboss, M3, the E36 M3. Those pistons, all 86 mil.
All 86 mil, yeah, but different.
Mazda,
Yeah,
SR20, 86 mil.
Different compression heights.
Yeah, sure, of
Definitely.
course.
So-
Of course. Well, the guys were shortening con rods, which is
Yeah.
the worst thing you can ever do. But to lower compression and to correct. But
Well,
that's all we had. That's all we
well,
had available to us. So.
I don't know if anybody remembers a company called, what is that turbo company called now?
Alpine Development.
Alpine Development.
Yes.
Yeah, John Conchi.
Conchi.
The
That's
late
right.
John
Yes,
Conchi.
yes,
I mean, that's where we bought our turbochargers from.
Yeah,
Second hand. Mitsubishi,
That's
TDO5s,
right,
TDO6s.
yes.
I've still
Yeah.
got TDO6 20G
Yeah.
with, I think, what was this, 13 or 12 exhaust housing? Is it
12 centimeter.
12 centimeter exhaust
And
housing?
not ARs. The ARs
No.
are in centimeter as opposed
Yes.
to... AR is actually calculated in inches for those
Yes.
of you that don't actually know.
But I mean,
But be that as it may.
Yeah, they were unbreakable turbochargers.
Yeah, they were. And they still are today.
They still are, yeah.
Yeah, Mitsubishi have come a long way. I mean, what do you think run on a Bugatti Veyron?
Yeah.
They're Mitsubishi. What do you think run on most hypercars? Those are Mitsubishi rotating assemblies. And that's a fact.
Yeah. No, they were really excellent turbos. Excellent for the price. I don't know where John used to get them from, but we used to get
From
them.
Mitsubishi. He
He
was
was
registered
one
as
of the-
an
is it?
importer for
Yeah,
Mitsubishi.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely an agent for Mitsubishi in the day.
Yeah, well, he eventually went to the US, remember?
Yes.
He did a lot of work for TRD.
Yeah.
And then came back to South Africa and retired, and he passed away. Good old man.
Yeah, he did well. And he was
yeah.
knowledgeable, eh?
He was very knowledgeable.
Especially
yeah.
for the day and time.
Yeah.
He
I
was
mean,
really knowledgeable.
Do you know those days, 1 millimeter offset grind on the small end, standard pistons, you'll make 400 horsepower easily.
Yeah,
on
but
a
you lost your
Opel.
squish. It's the
Yeah,
worst
you've
thing you
lost
can
the-
ever do.
You've lost the squish.
You don't
lost
touch the
thing.
holy grail of an engine, which
But
is
I mean,
your squish. I mean,
Do you know how
but we
many...
never had a choice.
No.
We didn't have anything. We couldn't go and order an off-the-shelf piston with a certain compression height or whatever the case is. Today things are changed.
Yeah. But I mean, do you know how many cars were turbocharged that way? All the Alpine Turbo, BMWs,
Yeah.
all the Opels,
Even
the
their
Fords,
Mazda
the
Rustler
Mazda
Buckies.
Rustler Buckies.
Yeah, the 1600s.
They all were turbocharged. And by the way, that talking about the Tobela Buckies, the Mazda Buckies,
Yeah.
those 1600s. I mean, those things, when you turbocharge them, I mean, they'll give an M3 a Musa.
Oh, absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
were the most fun cars to drive.
Yeah. And then the Uno turbos.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have too many Uno turbos in Durban. Unfortunately, there were one or two. There was the ones that used to come. There were two cars that used to come to Durban quite often. Was a black one, the Scorpion, and
Yeah.
what was
Was
his
there
name?
another maroon one?
A red one, I
Yes,
think.
maroon.
I
It's
don't know.
that old maroon color. They never
Yeah.
made it in red. It was a maroon color.
Maroonish colour,
Yes,
yeah.
I know the guy.
One of the guys is actually
the
late.
owner, yeah.
What was his name now? He had died of cancer.
Italian guy.
Ah,
Mario.
I
Sure.
can't remember his name.
Marionella, something like that. I forget his name, but he was.
And they were
I
pretty
drove
quick.
in that car.
They were
that was the
pretty
first
quick,
turbocharged car I
yeah,
drove in ever. It was that was the late 90s, man. It was 90. No, that was 94, 95 that I drove in that
early
car.
90s, because I know my first Superboss I got in 89, mid 89, I think, or towards the end of 89. And, but I've got to tell you, my first experience with Mitsubishis, those half bricks in Pretoria, man, what a hiding we got from those little Mitsubishi half
Yeah.
bricks.
Yeah.
I mean, those things had a split gearbox, remember?
Yeah.
They would like first gear, second gear. They go first gear, then they change to high, low, or whatever. Then they got another first gear, then they go second gear.
Yeah.
Man, those things were Foot Trekker Road, wasn't it?
Yes,
We used to race up
that's
there.
right.
It was our good old days.
So tell me, when did you get into or go from the messing around on the street cars to actually forming a business? When did you did you do that in Durban first and then move to Joburg? Or?
I did that in Durban. What had happened was I'm actually a computer programmer by trade. I'm not, as I said, told many people before, I'm not a mechanic by choice. Or, you know, I didn't have to become a mechanic because that's the only thing I could do. No, I loved the programming. And with that, you know, due to involvement with Peter de Weert and all those years, we were doing Unichips, then we needed a dyno. With a dyno, we needed a workshop. And it started from there. I think around the 94 thing, that's when I quit the computers and got involved in cars full time. And then we started from there. And
That was Joburg, right?
Durban. Yeah,
When did you move to Joburg?
We moved to Joburg. I don't know. I can't remember the year. Oh, just around that hammer incident. You know, the time I don't know what year that was. I can't remember. But that was my very, very first trip to Tarleton with a good friend, Sean Singh. And then I remember telling Sean, I said, hey, Sean, I'm not too sure about this Joburg thing. They're all throwing hammers at each other and all that. I mean, you know. And that's when we came up. And then Sean had introduced me. I think my first shop, I first wanted to work for somebody, so I worked with Rob and Stephen for a bit.
From
RGM. RGM, yeah. It was just a little bit just to help them out. Then I opened my own shop. And
Selby, was that the first one?
No. Stratham Park. I had a shop in Stratham Park.
Yeah.
And I used to do the IS turbos at that time. We did quite a few IS turbos. 2.7 IS turbos. We did quite a few of them. And I just pushed on with the Opel. And it grew from a street car, an everyday car, to a race car, to a full-on 8-second car. But it was something that we grew into.
So what was the first car you raced in Joburg? Under the name NASCAR?
Oh, the Opel. It was
that same one that...
That same 8-second car. It was grey with checkered, I think black checkered thing. It had a Moretti twin headlights. There's a picture of it with a very famous Honda at the strip, at the track, on the line, on the start lines, going up.
Nasen, your first car that you raced in Joburg, right? It's obviously the Opel, which later on became the 8-second front-wheel drive record holder for a long time. The very first time you raced that car, what time did you do? What was the setup? Can you remember? What setup did you run? What injectors? What turbo? Did you build the motor yourself? Were you running a forged motor? What gearbox were you running? Shafts, slicks, tires, rims?
Okay. Well,
did it have a cage in it?
No, I never had a cage. It was the very first time I ran at Tarleton was at an Opel club event when I still lived in Durban, normally aspirated car. And I think I won that event that time. It was, I think, a low 13 something. And the prize was, I remember this very clearly, the prize was a set of Coney shocks, which I had obviously won, but I wasn't a member of the Johannesburg Opel Club. So obviously I had to forfeit the prize, which I was a bit upset about. But anyway, after that, when we moved to Johannesburg permanently, and I ran that Opel, if I remember clearly, it was 11-second car or something like that. But it was...
It's good for the time.
For that time, yeah, because I remember when I rocked up to go race the car, nobody wanted to speak to me. Nobody spoke to me. It was quiet. I mean, I'm new. Rock up with this street-looking car. But it had a TO4... TO4E...
Garrett. That's
Garrett, right. TO4E. It wasn't even it was an on-center housing.
Yeah, AR58. Right? The only one you got
I think
was
it's AR58. Yeah, it was an AR58 open scroll.
Yeah.
It was a
T4.
Strange T4, strange housing. I think it was what's 60
60-1.
60-1 compressor thing.
59 and 76 at the back.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it had a TO4E housing, I think it was.
Yeah, AR60.
AR60 housing.
Yeah.
It was a scrap thing, you know.
Yeah.
I still got the housing because it's such a funny S shape
Yeah,
into the thing. But I mean,
They worked.
they worked. They
The
worked.
problem with the problem with the on-center housing in those days was
You couldn't get
never mind that
the space.
The inlet track, the gas path, actually hits the side of the scroll and has to
Yes.
go around it. So it's not a very efficient housing,
No,
but they work.
But
They work
you-
well.
yes.
It was a small enough AR for
support,
that size
yeah.
turbo
5.8 or
to
something?
make 5.8
5.8, yeah.
to make some decent power, and using a Q trim or a P trim or a O trim wheel, which is your T4 stage 1, 2,
Yes,
3
yeah.
a turbine shaft to drive the 60-1 on the other side, and then your TO4E compressor housing.
Yes.
Now, yes, AR60 guys are going, oh, that's small. Don't know what
tiny.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not small.
No,
You've
I
got
mean-
the TO4B AR60 and you've got the TO4E AR60. Two totally different,
different tables, yeah.
kettles of fish there. So, but yeah, that turbo worked. It
Yeah,
worked
it
well.
worked,
I mean,
yeah.
Louis Lima ran them as well
Yes,
back in the
yes,
day. I used to supply him with
Yeah.
the 60-1 compressor wheels and the shafts and back in the day. But so was that a forged motor? Were you running a forged
Yes,
motor?
yeah, it was forged motor. But it was forged motor with Powter rods at that time, because eventually we were able to get companies that would make us rods and stuff like that. And I think we went low 11s at like 250s or 240 something. And then all of a sudden I had a whole lot of guys come up to
That's
me.
still front wheel drive, right?
Front wheel drive, yeah.
Slicks?
No, we had the ET Streets kind of thing, but
Okay,
narrow.
Nick Thompson's, yeah.
Yeah, they were 25 inch or 24 inch or something like that. I can't remember. But we ran some good times, standard shafts. That car at that time had a Heltec ECU. It had 2 sets of injectors. I can't even
Were they
remember.
staged?
Yes, they were staged.
Back in the day?
Back in the days,
Wow.
Heltec stage injectors.
Okay.
That car had
What injectors are you running?
one set was standard, and the second set was TS, because we couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and the amazing thing on that car was it had a set of individual throttle bodies,
Yes.
M3 throttle bodies, right?
Oh, that's right. I
So the
remember
first
that.
stage of injectors worked in the original injector position. The second stage went on to where the vacuums were for the M3, right? And the trick about tuning those cars, and that's why we had to use a Heltec, because you had to be throttle based for a certain percentage because you didn't generate enough vacuum, and then switch over. And one of the only ECUs that did it at that time was the Heltec E6S. We started
Okay.
off E6S, then we went E6K. We never had launch limiters, right? So
How did you build boost to the line?
well, what we did is
Handbrake.
No. Amazing thing is we used a limiter for 2-step, right? Then we had a relay, which then enriched fuel because on the cold, the water temp sensor.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we had that switch on a
Just put a
different
resistor across there and
across,
it just overfuels.
overfuels,
Yeah.
and that's how we built all 2-step. And I think I came across some emails to Heltec at that time, asking, "This is what we want. Come, pull back some timing, add
fuel."
fuel. No, that's how we do it. They refused to do it in their software because nobody wanted it. No, we do the rally stage stuff, but we needed to pull
But that's
back.
anti-lag. That's the
That's
same thing.
anti-lag, yeah.
Very simple.
No, but the thing is, that they didn't have it as a launch option.
Yes, yeah, with a clutch switch
With
or
a clutch
speed,
switch.
speed
But I
based
mean,
or
that's
whatever.
how we did it. We did a clutch switch, relay, pullback timing, because you go to your compensation maps, when it's your X amount, like minus 20 degrees water temperature, which it wasn't, but it just because
Yeah.
of the resistor.
You wanted that extra fuel.
Yeah, so we
100%.
added fuel, we pull back timing, and that's how we used to launch.
Fantastic.
Then we realized,
So where did you go from there? You
Well,
are running 11s now. What
11s,
did you do?
we went to 10s.
Okay, what did you do to get to 10s? And can you remember the costs involved? Because this is very important. I mean, even in today's day and
Yes,
age,
it's cost.
guys want to, there's young guys that'll be watching this video and they want to know what, it takes to run an 11-second car
Yeah.
or a 10-second car or whatever the case is. So
Well,
let's say we're talking front-wheel drive
I
now.
think then we
What
were.
sort of costs are we looking at?
Well, I can't remember costs exactly, and I can't really say cost because.
Okay, today. Let's say, for example, a guy comes to you. He's bought himself, he's got an old Opel Cub, and he's got himself a 2-liter TS or a Super Boss. He wants to turbo the thing, and he wants to now go and run a 10-second.
You know what? It's gearbox, it's management, it's injectors, it's proper rods, proper pistons. You know, the only way to do it is to do it right. That's all. You know, there's no shortcuts.
Unless you want to start spending more and more money
You
every
spend
time
more
it
and more
breaks.
money.
When
Every time it
not
breaks, you
if.
make more money.
Yeah.
And that is the trick,
Yeah.
is to get, the trick to going faster is to keep running, right? And not repairing things that you've already repaired.
100%.
So that's what we do sell performance parts and stuff like that, but I will never sell something that I never used, right? It's always, if it's not good enough for me, I won't sell it.
100%.
Right?
We're the same.
Yeah,
We're
we
the
are
same.
not the so-called supermarkets of this industry.
Yeah, we don't bring in cheap Chinese junk. We're not the corner shop with a
No, we're
toolbox
not.
either.
No. The thing is, the trick is, put in good parts, do it right, and you get somewhere.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, we went from 10s, 11s to 10s to, the biggest stumbling block was clutches. I remember that very, very clearly. We were like running low 10s, 10-0, 10-1s, and we just needed the next stage. And the next stage was like clutch. We would always slip clutches. So I remember there was a company that I wanted to buy a clutch from locally, and it was a twin plate FX. Was it a FX 500 or 450 or 750? FX 750, 725 twin plate. Was it
7.25 inch.
Yeah, a 725 clutch master.
Yeah.
Twin plate, and I needed that plate. I needed that thing. It was like 14,000 rand, and I'm like, shit. I went to one of the suppliers. I said, guys, you know what? I want to buy this clutch from you, but I don't, can I do it in 2 payments? No. So I remember having the rent money. So it's either the clutch or the rent. So I bought the clutch. Friday night, we go run a record, and we almost beat one of Mick's cars. I think we went in 960 or something. And true's God, that same guy who I wanted the deal from with the clutch, before I even left alternate, sold to a whole lot of kits to other people. But anyway,
Off the back of you, but
off
that's
the back
good.
of
I
me.
mean,
But it's one of those things. That's how
education went. Yeah.
That's how it went. And that clutch lasted us onto the 8s. So.
Now that engine, was that exactly the same motor, the same gearbox, the same shafts that you were running the 10s with, or the 11s with?
Yes, it was stock shafts, F28 gearbox, stock F28 6-speed gearbox, and obviously we needed a clutch. So we got into the 9s, we got into like a 920s, a 91s.
What turbocharger were you running at that point?
At that point, we were still Garrett, that 60-1, I think it was, 0.58.
Just running big boost.
Yeah, boost is nothing if you got a turbocharger, you use it.
100%.
I think
It's capable of.
Yeah. That thing used to run almost 2 bars easily.
In those days.
Let
me tell you, Rainbow. I remember when we were racing at Rainbow, there was a guy, Gideon, he used to work for SAC in Vereniging van der Bijl, and he had a turbocharged Golf TD05 Mitsubishi, and he was running half a bar, 0.8 bar, 0.7 bar. And when guys started getting to the 1 bar, 1.2 bar range, everybody's going, you're going to blow up the engine, and that's crazy boost. And, that was the perception back in the day.
We were running on street cars on the Mitsubishi TD05, 1.5 bar boost.
Yeah.
On the TD06s, 20 Gs, with the right exhaust housing, you could go 1.8 bar. You know what? Boost is something. No matter how high you run, you got to have, firstly, you got to seal the engine properly. You got to have the right head gasket, right head studs. You got to have the right amount of timing. It's boost limit is, you think of pushing against the wall, right? The harder you push, something's going to give. So if you got the right amount of timing, the right compression ratio, the right octane, you can run as much boost as you want. Personally, I've seen up to 60 pounds of boost in our Opels. Obviously, alley rods, right, methanol, right amount of fuel, all of that stuff. But I mean, we're talking about what, 2007, 2008,
Yeah.
when we were running that. I mean,
Even in those days,
yeah,
that was still
a lot of
high
boost.
those
Yeah,
days,
yeah. I mean, the guys in the States were running at just about that, about 50, 55 pounds, 60 pounds.
So now you've run these 11s, these 10s, these 9s. At what point did you build the 8-second car, and what did you change? What did you build into this car? What turbo did you use? Tell us a little bit about the car.
The 8s came after we went to the US. I was very good friends with the guys.
What year was that?
2006.
Okay.
I think mid 2006, we went to Pomona. I met the late
Pomona in Pomona
US.
Brackpan.
No. Pomona in California,
Kempton.
the US.
Okay.
It was one of their NHRA tracks. There was a big event there, and a good friend of mine at that time was Stephanie Egham, the late Stephanie Egham. They were running the Honda.
Yeah.
And she actually, she was a good, she was very successful. Nobody really liked her. Stephanie's, what was that, Civic, the sedan Civic?
The Ballard.
The Ballard, we called it a Ballard here. It was called an SI or something in the States. I mean, she was running 7s at that time. Harry from
Roscoe.
Harry Orankers, he used to help them quite a bit. He was, what was that management system called again, Chris? Harry's system,
Can't remember that.
Yeah. It was
Harry. Did he have
Harry had a management system.
Harry Roscoe.
Harry Oraska, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had a management system. So, I forget what it was. Big Stuff 5.
Oh, Big Stuff 3. Big Stuff 3. I didn't know. Okay, I know about Big Stuff, but I didn't know that was Harry's.
That was Harry. That was
okay.
Harry. So he was quite a big sponsor. He was of Stephanie, and Stephanie wasn't a very well-liked person because she all business, wanted to do things. So I was with them at that race, and I made arrangements. I bought some second-hand stuff from Stephanie's car. It was the front wheels. It was some struts, springs. It was whatever I could scrounge, because I mean we never had a lot of money those days. I mean I think we saved up all the pennies to fly to the US, the longest flight ever, I think, because that was
30 odd hours.
Well, West Coast, boy. So
West Coast, 100%.
That's
where Vegas.
Well,
Vegas side is West Coast.
Vegas side is West Coast. Yeah, it was California.
That's 30 odd
the
hours.
Company. It was a guy from GM that was actually a good friend of mine, and he worked for a company called Shaver Speciality. So he did 90% of the R&D work for the GMs, the Ecotechs.
Yeah.
He built those Volvo engines for the guys in Sweden, and I mean his job was, GM at that time threw tons of money and said, right, develop this engine. So they would run an engine on the dyno, blow it up. Okay, needs rods, needs valve springs, needs this bolts, needs that, needs O-rings, I mean, that's where I spent a lot of time with them, learned a lot from them. I mean, those days we never had WhatsApp, we never had big internets, like we had those calling cards. So I used to buy a stack of those calling cards, and we used to speak for hours, and we'd figure out things together and shit like that. And I mean, that's how we learned how to do O-rings, how to run 50 pounds of boost on the block, what type of O-ring you need to run, what's the shape.
Thickness, depth,
the depth,
100%.
the shape.
What gasket goes together with it.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's how we learned a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And that time, I remember at Pomona, it was myself, and there were some other guys that were there from South Africa, because we were... I can't remember if it was the first trip. Yes, it was one of the first trips to SEMA. So before SEMA, we were at Pomona, and then we went to SEMA. So I was going to talk to Harry about getting one of his precision turbos at that time, but unfortunately someone else was there. I saw them talking to him, and I never went up to Harry to ask him about the turbo. I bought a Borg Warner, the biggest turbo ever that I had ever seen in my life. I mean, it was a Borg Warner Bullseye turbo, massive thing.
Bullseye power, yeah. It's based off the Borg Warner platform, yeah.
What was the guy's name who developed it? I can't remember his name, but it was Chris something, if I'm not mistaken. Hell of a nice guy. He would do his buy Borg Warner turbos. He cast his own race cover. Then eventually he was casting his own exhaust housings, to flow better, to suit because they were truck turbos that were
S400s,
S400s,
S300s, yeah.
I mean, I sat with that turbo all the way back from the US, and I'm like, shit, is this thing gonna spool? Is this thing gonna spool? I mean, it was like that time, as you said, 30-hour flight back, and I'm like, shit, I made a mistake. Anyway,
you're overthinking it.
Yeah. I mean, we've never run turbos that big. Slapped it on, made a manifold, made everything fit. Truth God, first run out, I think we went 890 or 880.
I remember that day. Yeah.
And then from there, we just went quicker and quicker until eventually the limitation was the gearbox.
What box were you running? Was that still stick shift?
A stick shift, H pattern. It was a dog box made by Ohm Anderson. Really strong. I remember having to make 3 boxes just to get it viable. So I made one for myself. I made one for Vainant. And there was one made for the guy from, out towards Maputo side for a Mazda. So everybody wanted different ratios. Vainant wanted his own ratios. I wanted a specific ratio, which was mine. But I remember sitting with Anderson. I used to do the R&D. So I'd get a box, stick it in a customer's TS, and we go and test it. No, this didn't work. That didn't work. Take it out. And I mean, the TS is one of the easiest. It's a joke. It was the most difficult car to put a gearbox in and out, subframe, whatever. Yeah. I don't know how many hours, hundreds of hours. And I remember crawling under the dash in this TS when Ohm Anderson was testing the box here in Pomona the one day on the street, because, I mean, Henderson was Zimbabwean champion circuit thing, and I mean, he could drive. And most racing drivers are not good passengers.
No.
So
let them take the wheel.
Yeah. So I was under the dash, I think, crawling in because I was so afraid. But I mean, that's where it evolved from, and then the racing stopped. Racing stopped because it was COVID at that time. We cut up the car.
What were you boosting back in the day? And what power did that car make when you ran? Okay. And what's the fastest you ran? Was it 8?
We went 874. We did do a unofficial 860 something, but it wasn't at an event or anything of that sort. I mean, a lot of guys have got a lot of things to say about, Oaks went very quick on, street to strips and I think we ran these times at nationals. We had our fuel checked. Everybody big talk about us running nitro those days. Firstly, at that time, if you know anything about cars and had half a brain on you, you'd know if you ran injector dynamics, which is at that time the biggest injector was ID 2200s. Right? 2000s. Well, they actually 2200 cc's, but they were called ID 2000s.
Yeah.
They were what is called a gas injector, right? It was a CNG injector.
Yeah.
It wasn't stainless steel. It had a rubber.
Bosch.
A Bosch injector, CNG Bosch injector, which had a rubber seal, right? There's no way that you could run nitro in it. So all those guys who said, hey, I was running nitro, go back and go learn about cars before you talk rubbish to us.
Yeah. Nasen, tell me, running 11s, running 10s, 9s. There came a stage where you went back to the workshop and you did stuff. Well, because you obviously ran 8s. Now, you at what stage did that happen? Tell us a little bit more about...
Well, I remember talking about that good old faithful TO4E turbocharger. I remember at West Bank. Yeah, it was West Bank. Front wheel drive challenge. Remember?
Yeah.
Front wheel drive challenge. All the front wheel drive cars were there. The Unos, the VWs, the VR6s. So it was a challenge between myself and Vainant, VDS.
Yeah.
Who were supposedly we were the quickest front wheel drives at that time. Vainant ran nitrous, and I didn't run nitrous. So this car, always this turbo, whenever there was a big race, it used to get scared and smoke. So Oaks would come up to me, hey, you sure you want to race this thing? You know, just the turbo seal get unsettled a little bit. You know, it was a single normal Garrett seal. You know, it'll get unsettled a little bit, needs boost, everything fixed. So there this thing is smoking on idle, and everybody, no, you sure want to run it? Yeah, no, don't worry. And I mean, we ended up being the fastest at that time. I think it was, we won that shootout. I think it was a 9:20 something. I have to go back to the records and find out.
Yeah, but now you went, you know, after
So
all those
after all
days.
that, that's when we went to the States. That's when we brought the bigger turbo in.
Yeah.
Then we changed the CVs. I mean, that was still, at that time it was a street car, because then my son Royan and I, we drove that car back from West Bank on the street with
After running the 9.
after running 9 something and winning that record, front wheel drive challenge. We drove it back to the shop on ET streets, and out there at the back by the market, we were doing some testing, and Royan says to me, Dad, I don't feel so well. Obviously, the acceleration, we didn't realize how fast the car was. It was pretty fast.
Yeah.
So he was getting a little bit sick. I was getting a little bit sick. So I said, all right, boy, we'll go a bit slowly. And I mean, he was, 8, 10 years old at that time. And well, that's how long he was hooked onto the racing from that. And now he's an engineer with F1.
Yeah.
So
But now tell me about the car.
The car-
You now obviously went back to the. You
Yes.
needed to go. Surely you had to go and redesign. I mean, chassis.
No. We just tried. We actually strengthened a whole lot of stuff, because at that stage, we built CVs. You know, very, very grateful to two old people in our industry. They're both late right now, but big icons in my book in the drag racing, which was Gavin Murray and the late Andy
Makuris. Yes.
I mean, great guys. We learnt a hell
Very
of a lot.
knowledgeable. And he was.
They raced for years.
Yeah.
They raced for years, and there was so much you could learn from these guys. Gavin and Tyron helped me build the CVs, which were super strong. We never broke CVs again. I mean, we used to have the original CVs cryogenically treated, but they'd last 3 runs and they'd break. So, you know, we had to make stronger CVs. We got that bullseye turbo, and as I say, 30 hours of sitting with this thing on the plane, thinking, I made a mistake. Slapped it in, modified the turbo. It bolted up, TO4E, bolted up straight up.
Yeah.
Made new oil drains, made new charge pipe. I mean, we used to run
Same motor.
same motor. That
Powder
was,
rods.
powder rods, and stuff like that. Actually, I can't remember when we went to LDR, if it was on that motor or whatever. But anyway, and then we went. No. We went with that turbo. We went at 870s or 880s or 890s, somewhere there.
Before you change the rods.
You know what? Power-wise, you couldn't test it. There was no way. But I mean, you worked according to fuel flow and whatever. We were at that time. We were on the max of the rods. That's why we went to Ali. We were about 1,100 odd, somewhere there, calculated. You know, obviously.
Yeah, from your fuel flow. Yeah. Horsepower.
Horsepower, fuel flow. If you look at the weight of the car versus ETs and terminal speed. So we basically went to Ali rods purely. We would change big ends, big end bearings, and gudgeon pins.
Yeah.
After every race, virtually. We'd strip it. You take the gudgeon pins, you roll it on the table, and if it rolled nicely, you put it back. If it didn't roll, you threw it out.
While on the table, you should have used a piece of glass.
Well, we just, they would get so bent that half of them a wooden thing. So that's when we went to Ali rods. We went to a special piston, We went to a thicker pin, a special pin. Just
But now, back in the day, you guys, when you were racing, fuel was controlled.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Everything was controlled.
Everything
So
was controlled. Well-
there must have come a time where there was competition.
Oh, yes, there
And,
was.
you know,
There was.
have you been stripped before?
Oh, yes.
Did the guys have to walk past with a checkbook?
No,
And you know, every time I remember in the racing, in the circuit racing, if someone walks past, I mean, we had cylinder heads with tags that were mounted to the
Was
blocks, so
sealed.
they were sealed.
Sealed,
You know,
yeah.
head to block,
Yeah.
block to gearbox, etc. And if you see somebody walking past with a checkbook, you know someone's going to strip. You've got to go and pay $2,000 or $5,000.
Nah, they never
and then,
paid
and then
anything at that time.
they
They got
pay
it.
that to the team that they
Nah.
asked to go and strip. So
they paid nothing.
okay, but did you get stripped at
Yes,
a
yeah,
stage?
yeah. We had a strip after the one nationals where we ran the record times. Fuel tested. The car was impounded. Andy, myself, there was a couple of us went to. I had a veto at that time. So all they needed to measure, and I argued and argued and argued, all they had to measure was bore. I said, guys, measure the stroke, right? Take the maximum width of the head, right? Divide it by 4 and you'll get the maximum. Give me the maximum thing. I don't want to strip, because the problem is we had a special gasket, which
Yeah, that's going to start revealing secrets.
it's revealing secrets, but everybody wanted to know, because I mean, and a lot of the guys that pushed, you know, that were involved, all the V8 guys, you know, how come we were going so fast? What? So they wanted to know. Then they came up when we started stripping, cams off. So somebody says, I want to measure those cams. I said, sorry, I'm being a Chris here. Can't measure the cams, nothing. All you need to do is measure bore size. That's it. Cams, whatever we strip, straight into the van. Cylinder head, straight out.
Yeah, it's
into
got
the
nothing
van.
to do with
Nothing
you.
to do with it.
100%.
All they need to measure is bore.
Yeah.
But, you know, the sad part is that our car was impounded, yes. The first thing we get into, when I get into the car, I notice that the floorboards
After the stripping.
no, before the stripping, because
yeah.
we had to leave it overnight. I see the floorboards been jacked up. You know, obviously somebody who didn't know where and what, because I mean, yeah, we made our cars lighter. You know, you obviously the panels, you know, good old group N tricks, you know, acid,
Yeah.
pool acid,
Yeah.
thinning down the material. So somebody had jacked on the floorboard and it pushed the whole thing up.
So you climbed into the car.
I climbed into the car and,
and that was the next day after the whole debacle.
well, the
where you
day
left
we went to
car.
go strip. Yeah, the day
And
we went to
and
go
so
strip.
you noticed that the board, the floorboard was now dented
And I
and,
mean,
and up.
Up, yeah.
So now
Somebody obviously had jacked it. We never
so
bothered.
they didn't know where to jack the car properly,
Yes.
and they actually
Yes.
they went and jacked it up
They
on the
jacked it
floorboard.
on the floorboard. But anyway, we never bothered, because obviously whoever it was, nobody learned much, because nobody went quicker than us for years.
Do you know who it was?
No, I don't know. Don't know. Don't care. One of those things.
You know what I think.
Whatever.
You know what
Whoever,
I think.
You can think what you want to think.
You know what I think. I think you know exactly who it is. But you know what?
So what? It is what it
there's
is.
always controversy. Guys,
Yeah, there's always
no
racing,
matter what you say, there's
race-
controversy. There's always going to be competition. There's always going to be someone bad mouthing the next guy because he can't beat him, he can't touch him, whatever the case is. It's a sad,
You know-
childish, petty reality of the industry in
yeah.
this country. We were
Well,
very, very
listen.
immature. We're a very immature
It happens
market.
overseas as well.
Not as much.
Not as
No,
much.
Not as much.
yeah.
You know, you
You know-
look at the top level racing.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about top fuel dragsters, NHRA, NMRA, that entire series there.
Forget
right?
about that.
The guys there will not even line up if their partner
Yeah,
or
yeah.
their competitor's gearbox is damaged, for example. I've been to an NHRA
Yeah.
race where
Let me-
a top fuel dragster, one of the guys had a problem with the transmission. And
They lend each other parts.
100%.
Yeah. You
So
know,
the guy walked up to his competitor. Now you must remember something. It's a little bit different to what we do in this country,
they're
right?
big money there.
There they race for
money.
a salary.
Yeah.
There they race. That's their career. And that guy wouldn't go down the strip and take the win and get his check without actually helping
having
his
know,
competitor.
I-
So he walked up to the guy in the pits and he said, "Listen, pal, what's the problem?" He says, "No, training's gone. Spares, we've got spares here, but the gear ratios are different. We've got a bit of a problem." He says, "Okay, what do you need?" And he basically just gave a shopping list to his competitor, and his competitor said, "There you go.
I mean,
if you need manpower or extra manpower, because you're time limited here, we can help you out." So he says, "Don't stress. I just need this, and the next thing." The competitor gave him those parts so that he could line up, and they delayed. Both teams delayed each
delayed
other
the
so that
start,
they could make it on time, and they raced. And guess what? Guess who won?
The best man.
Yes, the best man. But guess who it was?
It was
the guy who
borrowed
was
the
helped
parts.
out.
Yeah.
The guy who borrowed the parts landed up winning. And you know what?
You
There
know
was
what?
there was no ill
There was no ill
feelings
feelings.
at the end of the day.
I witnesses firsthand at Pomona, where the two GM teams, they were, opposition teams, right? And those days they had complete front cuts.
Yeah.
It'll 4 bolts and the whole front of the engine will come out.
Yeah.
Right? So, as I said before, we were all running those CNG injectors, those Bosch injectors. Those were only, at that time, the biggest injectors. And if you don't look after those injectors, clean them after each run, you are going to have shit. So they had an engine malfunction.
And unfortunately, there's always going to be bad mouthing and whatever the case is. I know you know who it was, but you know what?
Who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we
were still the fastest.
We were still the fastest, and I still say we're the fastest unibody. When Quinton's been faster than us, but he was a tube chassis, right? So
Did you not run a tube chassis in that?
No,
Opel?
no. That is why the car actually is not running today, because we chopped it up to make it a tube chassis, and then racing stopped.
So that was a unibody. So you
was
obviously
a
had a
unibody.
cage inside.
Yeah, it was a full cage. It was actually a steel cage. It wasn't even chrome moly.
Yeah.
There was chromoly
We'll
6.
talk about that another
Weight-wise.
time. Weight-wise, yes, of course.
I mean, the car
Sure.
with me in it was still like a 1,300 kilogram car. I mean, that's heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Considering.
So now, for the listeners, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of guys that are going to be watching this that they don't know the difference between what is a unibody, what
Okay.
dictates a tube chassis. People will walk up to a car and go, "Oh, that's a tube chassis because it's got a roll cage inside, and the cage extends to the back." And so, just for the sake of the listeners,
A unibody car is one that comes out of the factory. A unibody where they press steel pieces, and it's considered one body. You know, the roof, the floor pan, the firewall, the strut tops.
all the spot welded components that
the
make
spot
and
makes
make up
a
the actual
unibody,
body.
yes.
Sure.
So a tube chassis is something super light, where chromoly frame, carbon Kevlar floors, things like that. Where with either a steel body on the top or a carbon Kevlar body on, but a unibody is a one-piece body that comes out of the factory. That's, you can cut, you can lighten, you can add cages, but strut top's got to be in the original spot, got to be steel. Firewall must be steel, must be original,
Can't be cut out.
can't be cut out.
Can't be lightened.
Floor pan, it can't be lightened, it's got to have no holes. Floor pan can be cut.
Can't be cut out
behind.
and replaced with something else to make it look like an original.
Original floor pan's got to be under the driver's seat, under the footwell, behind the driver. Boot well, all of that can be cut out.
Yeah.
Roof must have obviously steel roof. Steel can have carbon doors, carbon fenders, carbon boot lid, carbon thing.
Yeah, bolt-ons, but the actual
Bolt-ons.
chassis
The actual
itself
chassis itself,
cannot be
yeah,
altered in any way.
altered in any way.
Right.
So that's basically the difference. And I mean, take no credit away from Quinton and stuff with the Hondas. Yes, they went quicker, but there's a big difference between unibody, weight-wise, and
Twist,
and,
chassis,
and a
torsion.
cheap chassis.
Yeah,
yes.
it's
the stiffness, all of those things. I mean, we had to put so much weight into our car because at one stage, if everybody can remember, that Opel of mine, every gear was in a different direction, purely because of the flex. I mean, how we fixed that?
the body's flex.
The body, the control arms, the mounting points, all of that. So we had to reinforce all of that. I mean, the same stories with the Hondas those years. They were all, strengthened and stuff because of the flex.
Yeah.
And one of the disadvantages is of an Opel engine is the Opel doesn't have a steel subframe underneath. The steering rack mounts halfway up on the firewall. So everything flexes. And I mean, the way we found it, we put cameras in the car. And as you run it, and you could see steering arms were flexing, bushes were flexing. And then, you strengthen, you build. I mean,
you learn. You look and you learn, and you. So,
I mean, that car.
So what was the best time you ever ran?
Well, we went officially 874 at, I think, 280 or 279 miles. Okay, was 180 miles an hour or something like that, or 160, isn't it? What is it? But anyway, we did do at a unofficial practice run with a draggy. We went 860 something, but then we just stopped racing the car because there was no.
Okay,
torque
now I
and
want to
no-
ask you something. What management system were you running in that car when you did the eights? But
Yeah.
when did you install that management originally? So
Okay.
did you have it in the car before you ran eights?
Oh, yes.
How long did you have it in the car? And tell us a little bit about that management that you ran and the features, the software,
Yeah.
because it's nothing like it is today.
No. Well, the very first time we ran eights with the Heltic E6K, with our homemade, what do you call it, launch
Two-step,
limiter,
yeah.
two-step,
Yeah.
and all of that.
Resistors and
And
things.
whatever. Then I sold a whole lot of those. Must have been 2008 or 9 or somewhere there. I sold 3 Heltec E6Ks to the guys in Mauritius to buy one full Fueltech system.
So you ran a Fueltech on
Yes,
the car when
we-
you ran the record.
No, when we ran the record, we ran Heltec, but subsequently we went also 8s, close, I think 870s, 874s, 880s, a whole lot of 8s with a Fueltech system as well. But then the track.
So when was that exactly? Because I mean, when you
probably-
first got your first Fueltech, what year was
First
that?
Fueltech
'Cause I
was
mean, that must have been ages ago
Yes, 2000.
when they first came out.
Yeah, we had the first Fueltechs that we had was FT350 and the FT400.
So it was still called the FT, the
Oh,
FT
yes.
series
Yes,
back
it was
in the
always-
day.
It was always called the FT series back in the day. And it was a lot of money because we had to buy a separate logger, separate wideband, separate ECU. It was a ton of money. And I think my car was one of the first ones. And then we brought a whole lot for a few of the other
So
mates.
you were the birth.
Oh yes,
birthed
I brought
Fueltech in the country.
I brought Fueltech into South Africa. Yes, we were the first ones, and obviously now everybody jumps on the bandwagon. You know, order this, order that, and whatever. But we were the original guys that brought Fueltech into this country.
So now, what was the interface like?
Interface was great because
Was it the same like software wise? Because obviously you didn't have
The
screens
soft-
back in the day, like you do today.
Software is very different. The beauty about it is if we needed changes made, message the guys and we need this, and it was done. You know what? There was so much of development, and that's what made Fueltech so good. You know, we could do proper torque control, drive shaft speed control, CO2, you name it.
Back in the day,
Back in the
already.
day. Already, yeah. There was so much of stuff that was just, that ECU was always evolving. And also helped that, you know, there were friends of mine in Brazil running the same ECU, running ProMod Opel engines. And, you know, we would share a lot of information and a lot of help with each other. And it's just unfortunate that we never continued racing that car. The motor's still together. The motors are 100% together. You know, all we had to do is find a car, put it back in, and we get it running again.
Can we expect to see that car running again
Yes.
anytime soon?
I would say time permitting, and in the next maybe a year, we should have that car running. You know, my dream was always to take that car to the UK and run it at the pod. So
Santa Pod.
Santa Pod, yeah. In the front, we want to go and do these. What is it called? Run what you bring. Sort of what's It's called
Race what you bring.
Yeah, it's a door slammers event.
Yeah.
Where all the guys from Europe come to there. And an amazing thing, I mean, I was talking to one of the guys that holds the front wheel drive record now from Poland. And he says, I remember that car. He says, back in the day, your car was famous even in Poland. And I mean, that car was famous all over Europe.
Look, I think you guys were ahead of the times. You know, you definitely did an 8-second for a front-wheel drive car.
Well, outside
at our altitude, with our altitude density, with the state of our tracks in comparison to international tracks, you know, that's a serious achievement.
Of course it is. Outside America at that time, we were the only other unibody running 8s. There was a guy in Australia that was chasing, and he had crashed. I'm not sure how quick he got at that time, but outside America, we were the only. Well, then Brazil started getting quicker after that. But at that time, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, I think, even a little bit later, a lot later, nobody went quicker. And I don't know, you guys might know, what year did Quinton run the Honda with the K Series?
Not sure.
But it wasn't in the 2010s. And
Yeah, no, I don't think it was as early as
yeah.
that. I think it was around the 13, 14, if I'm not
No, I
mistaken.
can't remember.
We'll have to check. We'll have to check and confirm.
But it was good old fun. I mean, we never went out to wanting to be the fastest.
Yeah.
It just developed. And I mean, with the competition, with the guys overseas, I mean, if they could do it, we could do it.
What else have you run? Because everybody knows you about the Opel. So now I know that you got your fingers in the new Supra, the R35 Skylines.
The 35s. We run.
So tell us about the Skyline.
Okay, in terms of our records that we have, right? We've got the Supra record, manual 6-speed. I think we got 950s or 940s or whatever.
So it's a stick shift Supra.
Stick shift Supra, Mark IV Supra.
Okay.
We've got the Mark V.
Does that still stand today?
That still stands today. Nobody's went quicker.
Okay.
Stick shift manual road car.
H pattern. Yeah.
H pattern.
Cage? Is there a cage in there?
Yeah, it had a half cage or full
Okay.
cage. It was a street car. It wasn't a drag car. We obviously the Mark V. We run that record as well. Automatic.
In South Africa.
In South
right?
Africa.
Which is?
I think a 920 or 9 something. Yeah.
Okay.
Then we've got the
And that's also a street car.
street car, full street car, half cage. Then we've got the GTR, the street car GTR, R35.
Yeah.
That's a full street car with aircon and everything. That car went 8.2s, right? I think the fastest was 8.2s. Unprepped track at Midval. Obviously, it had a half cage. At Midval.
Wow.
Right, so we obviously
imagine that same day, same run at Dalton.
Oh yeah,
you probably would have done a lot better.
We run a hell of. I mean, that car for a street car, full street car, has got a easy high 7 in it easily, but obviously you can't run at Tarleton because it doesn't have a full cage.
Yes.
We've got a full on.
Unless it's an unofficial street to strip.
Yeah. You know? We've got a full on drag car that we're busy with, which hopefully we'll run soon. R35 full cage. We'll see how far. We want to run 7s. I mean, we've done a lot of work and stuff. We had Evos that have run good times. Well, basically anything, you know.
Okay.
We hope to have some M2s soon, and some Hondas soon, 4-wheel drives.
Yeah.
But let's see. We'll play.
Well, they are coming.
Fun. Yeah, we know they're coming. Yeah, we just got to get Malaka to work quickly on that. That's all.
Exciting times.
Well, the track's getting better. A lot of new records, which is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, that's actually great. I mean, there's some progress. Racing seems to have been rejuvenated again of late.
And we need it. Our industry needs it.
Yeah.
We all want to sell parts. Without selling parts, we can't go quicker. And we'll see what happens. Let's we need everybody in the industry and the spectators to support the racetracks that we have.
I think so too. You know, we've got such expertise in this country, local. We've got great range of expertise from the engine to the drivetrain to the power adders to every single accessory that you find under the hood, to even expertise to help you set up suspension. To I think from A to Z, there's enough expertise in this country to build a car fully local that can be taken to a track like Maryland and go and do some serious 100%. Runs.
You must know we come from the apartheid culture, where we had a lot of sanctions against us, and we here at one of the facilities which was in its heyday. Denell was the leading edge in the.
Of course, it was.
The aeronautical.
On that, I mean, it's digressing a little bit from this, but
a lot,
there was a discussion between myself and one of the guys that's retired now, about a couple of years ago, and there was something that the French published about a particle accelerator achieved a specific milestone, and can't go into too much detail. And this gentleman told me, "Man, do you think that's impressive? Have a look here." And he showed me
we made
that we did that exact same thing with
Yes.
a better milestone in
Yeah.
the 70s. He
Yeah.
says, what are you talking about?
That's-
So, you know,
that's the
there's a
whole
lot
thing.
of
It's
misconception,
the
and there's
South
not much.
Yeah.
There's not much
Yeah.
out there in terms of what we were capable of. Let me tell you, we were capable
Oh,
of
yes.
a lot more than people think.
No, of course.
And
I mean,
that's
is a South
something
African,
really
that's a South
to be proud
African
of.
culture which we have lost.
Yeah.
Where we made
Not
everything.
entirely. Not entirely.
Well, nowadays anybody can go. I want to run a 9-second or an 8-second. You go on the catalog.
Yes,
I
but he
want
has to
this
go and
part,
buy
that
it.
part, that part, that part.
He has to
that
go and
part.
buy it. There's a big difference.
We built our shit.
Yeah.
We made our shit,
Yeah.
and that's
Well, that's what we do here.
that's
I
great.
design,
Yeah.
draw, and manufacture everything
100%.
right here.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I think most of the people have lost that
Oh, yeah.
because of the fact that it's just become so easy. If you've got a BM, you jump online and you buy this. It's a menu. You choose what menu items you want to achieve
And
a
you
specific
spend- and
result.
you spend a few million
and
rand.
100%, and that's where you go. You know, build a B58 and spend 2 million rand after buying a car for 1 million rand. You've got to have rocks in your head. You know, you can do it for a hell of a lot less than that, half of that
And that
price,
is-
and achieve better results.
And that's exactly why.
If you support local, there's guys local that can do it. You
No,
know,
100%,
importing the
yeah,
stuff and paying
100%.
overseas prices is the reason you're being overcharged.
Talking about that in terms of the B58 platform, everybody in the US was blowing gaskets and stuff on the B58s, and so we looked at it properly. And being typically South African, we figured out a way to make inserts and stuff to stop the head from moving. So we shared this info with a lot of guys overseas as well.
And that's today the benchmark. I've seen it myself.
Yeah, the guys.
I've seen it myself.
Nobody's. I mean, the B58s can hold 60 pounds of boost now, no
Yeah,
issues.
yeah.
Before that, I mean, Oaks. I know some Oaks in South Africa, BMW guys and stuff who are still blowing head gaskets and still thing purely because, you know, they don't have enough knowledge on how to keep an engine together. I mean,
Experience.
building a big
It
boost.
boils down to experience
down to
again, and
experience.
not buying something
Not
and
buying
importing it
something,
across
yes,
the pond.
that's
100%. That's exactly what it
yeah.
is.
You know, we've grown up with this
Making
stuff,
the mistakes.
making the mistakes. We've learned, you know, how to build big horsepower engines, and make them reliable. Purely because, I mean, you break it. You sit out for a couple of months because
Yeah.
you can't just go order a new one. You know,
And back in those days, there was nobody to ask. You had to figure it out yourself.
Figure it out yourself. Yeah, I must say the guys from GM were very helpful.
At least you have some sort
we
of
had some
backstop
sort
and
of
some info in the background.
And I mean, they were also learning. And
Well, they're not going to share all their
Oh,
secrets.
they shared a lot
They're
of-
going to share some, but they're not going to give you, you know, everything on a silver platter. There was still a lot that you had to
it
figure
was
out
just-
yourself.
Yeah, but it was just, you know, the one day I remember very clearly. The guy's name was Mike Tingley. That was a very good friend of mine. And I said to him, Mike, because we used to spend hours talking. And I said, Mike, you know, I understand I'm not a mechanical engineer or I'm not a mechanic or whatever. I'm a computer programmer. And, you know, so what is your experience? You know, what is your qualifications? So he laughs. I said, what do you mean? He says, no, he wasn't even an engineer. He says, but if you've been doing something for long enough.
Yeah, you've
right,
learned the lessons.
You've learned all the lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, down to, I don't know, Chris, you know why you run a square O-ring groove for a cylinder head O-ring? Why do you run square, not round? Any idea why?
There's a specific reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got 3 sealing points as
Exactly.
opposed to things. So, I mean, there's little things like that only experience can teach you.
Yeah,
That's it.
100%. Well, Nasen, you know what? It's been lekker having you on the show. It's our first podcast that we've actually used and gone live with. Well, not live, but on YouTube with. Like I said in the beginning, you know, we use this system for training and for consulting and for failure analysis and things like that cross waters. But it's been great catching up with you. I've learned a lot. So you've actually told me a lot of things that I didn't know of.
We all learn. That's the whole
You know,
thing.
where you came from and things like that. It's been great. And I know for a fact that you will be back. I have some inside information which I won't reveal. But I think there's a couple of us that are sitting around the table that the camera can't show you or show the viewers that have got some serious weapons that are currently in progress. And guys,
Let's
watch out. There's a couple of record breakers coming.
You know what? Competition's always good.
Yes, absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Positive thing. you know, yes, when we get to the line, we can be enemies.
Yeah.
But we get back
Look,
to
if
the
I
pits,
line
we
up,
must be
if
friends.
I line up next to you,
Of
we're
course.
not friends.
Yeah, of course.
I'll greet you, I'll give you a hug and say, stay safe, great. But when I climb in that car, pal, you behind me.
No, of course.
So,
Well,
and the same thing goes.
I don't know
But-
about being behind.
No, you'll be
but,
behind. You'll be behind. Without a doubt, you'll be behind.
We got to see.
No, it's been great having you, Nasen. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having
We'll
us.
see you soon.
Cheers.
Looks like it's going to take the run away from the TJ, and he does so with the